Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special edition, an impromptu edition of You Don't Jazz No Berries. I am the host, the Impact Player, and always alongside me is Miss Lady K, and we got a very special episode, like I said, for you guys. Today's topic, what we're going to be talking about is Cat Williams, Puff Daddy, and Jeffrey Epstein's list, among other topics. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. Okay, we got a lot to unpack here. I don't even know where to start. Hopefully I can minimize the ums and the oohs and the e's and the ahs. But I mean, before we get started, everything is alleged. Okay, so we're not really reporting as if these are facts. These are just speculations right now. And of course, this goes to a deeper and a bigger meaning, okay? Or else we wouldn't be putting this out here, okay? So for our fans out there, we're very sorry that we're not giving you the kind of content that we normally produce. But if you stay with us to the end of the video, is actually leading up to the kind of content that we produce. Just bear with us. And of course, for folks that like quote unquote conspiracy theories and stuff like that, hopefully we can grab your attention, as well as, you know, complete the idea or the theme of the episode. So without further ado, another thing that I'm going to say is, before we continue, is this is probably going to be a 2-part, 3-part series. I would like to get it done in one, but we'll see how things go. Okay. So with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. All right. But okay, so I'm pretty sure you heard about Epstein's manifesto, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I heard about that.
And I'm pretty sure you know who Ghislaine Maxwell is. Ghislaine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the best of my recollection is Ghislaine Maxwell. You heard of her, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I would like to say, even though I know I'm gonna get blasted for that, is God rest Epstein's soul. He never done nothing to me, even though this is fact that he did some despicable things while he was alive. But I'm not here to talk bad about the man. I'm just here, you know, reporting the news and, you know, just reporting the news. We'll just leave it at that. So for those people out there who don't know about this, a little bit of detail about Jeffrey Epstein is he was a lawyer, big time lawyer in New York. Okay. And I think he was a lawyer for quite some time. I think that was his whole career. And Ghislaine Maxwell, to the best of my knowledge, I may be wrong, but she was like a masseuse, or at least this was like her primary job when she was with Epstein when he was alive. God rest his soul. And basically, they had for, you know, 10 plus years or so, probably even 20, they had one of the largest sex trafficking rings in New York and in North American history. Okay. So how he was getting this done was he had a private island, which I'm not trying to do what he did, but I am trying to get my own island. Okay. So make sure you guys help your boy out here, you know, donate to the cause and stuff like that. No, I'm just playing. But he owned his own island. He had a, you know, couple jets or whatever. I guess these are one of the many perks of being a big time lawyer. And of course, you know, he had his private masseuse where this is where Ghislaine fits in all of this. Okay. So the game was cold, but this is also white collar crime too. So that's probably why the game is so cold. But he basically had Ghislaine recruit said girls, right? And some of these girls, they were 18 years or older, but they were still young adults. So they were easily, quote unquote, groomed and quote unquote manipulated into doing what they were doing, right? And not only that, but he also had a couple minors. He had a couple minors and stuff, which this is the despicable acts that I'm talking about. I don't want to be associated with it myself. So please, like how I say, I'm just reporting the news, okay? Like, of course, I would love my own island and stuff like that. Who wouldn't? But I don't stand for this, okay? And as y'all can see, like I'm shaking right now because I'm very scared about reporting this and how far it's going to go. But I'm gonna push through, okay? So, of course, while they were doing this, they also, being in New York, they were able, because you know what they say about New York. You got Times Square, you got Madison Square Garden, you got Harlem. What else you got? You got the Five Barrows, you got the Bronx Zoo. Like there's, from what I hear, and obviously you heard, New York City is where it's at, especially if you're a young entertainer coming up in the game, this, that, and the nine. If you got talent, you might want to go to either New York City or Los Angeles, but we're going to set our sights on New York City and Epstein and how all of this, took place and stuff. So not only was he a big time lawyer, but, he was able to go to said functions and stuff like that. You know how the money is and stuff like that. And upon going to these functions and stuff like that, these private functions and things of that nature, he was able to meet said celebrities. Okay. And of course, he invited said celebrities to this private island. Now, the allegedness or the conspiracy theory is, okay, he invited you to this private island. So what was you doing? This is probably the $1 million question everybody has. Okay. We know what he got charged with, got arrested. So, he ended up dying in jail before he even got shipped off to prison or whatever. But the fact still remains, while he was walking around, these are some of the alleged crimes that he committed. And it's not even alleged at this point. If you guys want to Google what I'm talking about, they have articles upon articles, websites about, the deplorable, despicable acts that Mr. Epstein committed while he was among the living, So now we're getting to the point where these high profile people, these high celebrities, what were they doing on this island? Okay. Now, going off of memory, because, I watched a couple Netflix documentaries. Matter of fact, when I get off of this, I'm probably going to turn on Netflix and watch the document again. Go check that one out on Netflix. Shout out to Netflix. But, so there was this girl, right? I can't think of her name to save my life, but she went in explicit details. You hear me? About how she was groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. She said she was about what? 15, 16, which this is bad. Okay. Now I understand, like they legs and they feet are long enough, grown enough so they can hit the floor, but psychologically this, they're kids for a reason. We were kids once upon a time for a reason. Like, we have the mental sharpness, the mental stability, to handle such trauma and stuff like that, and of course, they said that Epstein and Miss Maxwell, they picked out, underage girls that had tuition fees for private schools, no less. And, they trying to get into college and stuff. So these are the kind of girls that they sought out. Right. And of course, Ghislaine had big bands for him, waiting for him, and she had the bands in her purse from what I'm hearing, and of course she flashed all this green, and this is, the punchline, so to speak. And as a kid, even myself, a quick 5-second story that I'm gonna tell you guys is like the first time I ever saw the platinum chain before. You know what I'm saying? I was 20, so I'm a young adult, and this is the first time I seen it. Bro, I couldn't control it. My eyes got this big. You know what I'm saying? So of course, this lady walks up to you as a girl, as a child, and she just flashes all this money and say, all this could be yours. That's very, very enticing. You know what I'm saying? And also, there's a part of me that, because as a parent myself as well too, if my child is out of the house for, no less being on the island, I'm gonna want to know what you're doing. And then we're living in an day and age where we got cell phones and stuff, and most kids run around today, like my children, got cell phone, So my only question to that is, see what I'm saying? But my question to that is, okay, where's your dad? Where's your mom? Okay, bet you probably come from a single parent background. Even so, where's your mom? Okay. Now I understand women are not as powerful as men sometimes, but at least she could call the police. You know what I'm saying? So it just really kind of, it just kind of like, leaves you skeptical. Why didn't the parents reach out to their children and figure out where their children was? And if the parents was reaching out and all that stuff and doing what they were supposed to do, then that leaves a bigger question of how was they able to pull this off? Okay. So with that being said, the next part of this here scenario is, okay, where do all the high profile people and where do all the celebrities come in? Okay. Now, of course, I have this pulled up already. Okay. And I'm going to read some of the people that was alleged on this manifesto. Okay. Of course, Prince Andrew. Okay. Now, I don't know why somebody who's a part of a kingdom or royalty would be associated with anything like this. And matter of fact, don't this kind of person have bigger issues going on in England? I don't know. But they said he was on the manifesto, so let's continue to go. Now, I can't read this the last name, but the first name was like a Harvard professor by the name of Allen. His last name starts with a D, but I ain't about to embarrass myself. And then, of course, you got David Copperfield, which I believe he was a famous magician of some sort when he was alive. Okay. Then the next names that pop up are the Clintons, Hillary and Bill. And not reading off this site, just going off of memory. If memory served me correctly, Bill and Hillary went together, allegedly. Okay. Because I don't know. All right. Only people that be able to tell you is Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, which you already know what they're telling her while she's in prison, and the Clintons. And you already know, like, the Clintons has been involved in so many conspiracy theories and stuff like that you already know they're not going to admit it. This is probably what got Hillary unelected as president, or that's why she lost the election for presidency, because of the next guy on the list, which is, Lord have mercy, Donald Trump. And by the way, Donald Trump is running for 2024, so I'll see you in November of this year. But so Trump is there, and before we go any further, let's break this down for a minute, okay? Now, allegedly, and you're gonna hear this word a lot, okay? Allegedly. Okay. When Trump got elected, right? This is when Epstein and Miss Maxwell was coming under fire for their crimes against humanity, so to speak, right? So, like how I said, to the best of my recollection, Epstein didn't even make it to prison. Okay? He just got sentenced. And you know how you got to wait in order to go to the next joint, right? Maybe you don't know, but I know. I know. Don't ask me how I know. But anyways, so while he was in jail, they found Epstein, and for YouTube purposes, I have to stop there, okay? Let's just say they found him and they didn't find him breathing, so to speak, okay? But rumor has it, allegedly, Epstein had so much on Donald Trump, you see what I'm saying? That a few days after he got elected and a few days after he got sentenced and was on his way, now we find Epstein not breathing, not amongst the living, okay? So I'm going to just let y'all sit on that and marinate, you know. And then we got Stephen Hawking's. He's next, which I don't even know how this is possible, okay? Because if anybody knows about Stephen Hawking's, he's in a wheelchair. So when did this occur? Did this occur when he was in the wheelchair or when he was actually able to move around? You feel me? And Hawkins is old, but Epstein is also old too. They even got pictures of Donald Trump and Epstein back in the early 90s and stuff like that when they didn't have gray hair and stuff. So this is problematic for whoever is out there. You feel me? Continuing on. God rest his soul, Stephen Hawkins, and the next person I'm about to mention, allegedly Michael Jackson is also on Epstein's manifesto. God rest his soul too, you know, because right now I'm not trying to speak no ill will on the dead, okay? All right, this is not the purpose of this show right now, okay? So moving on, and of course they don't really have an article on Michael Jackson, and I don't, okay? And now going off of pure memory, because the list is done, I gotta click on some more stuff. Will Smith was also on said manifesto, okay? And then we're gonna mention another person, and then we're gonna pump the brakes and rap about it here in a minute. But the next person that was on this list was the comedian. I don't know if he's a comedian or not, but the late night show host Jimmy Kimmel. He's also alleged that is on this manifesto. And judging by your reaction, I'm gonna give you the mic. What do you have to say about Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, I know that the whole thing with Jimmy Kimmel was kind of crazy, and the whole thing with Chris Tucker. I didn't look. I look at Chris Tucker, and I just can't believe Chris Tucker was part of that list. Like, and I hope like all these people won't really doing sketchy stuff when they went there, cause like it is bad, bro. It doesn't sound good to me at all, whatever they was doing over there. I mean, why else would they want to be there? You know?
Those are, as one of the common people to actually, get on social media and be a personality and stuff like that. Of course, like we're not up there on that level. We're not making that money and stuff like that, So of course, we don't know. But with that being said, let's continue about who was actually on this island. And then of course we're gonna try to end it pretty soon so we can get to the next parts. But okay, so Jimmy Kimmel was on the manifesto, right? And how many of y'all like football? Okay, I do. Basketball is actually my favorite sport. But, your boy dibble and dabble in football, And how many of y'all know the quarterback of the New York Jets and the former quarterback of the Green Bay Packers by the name of Aaron Rodgers? Two-time MVP. Actually, I think he's four-time MVP, two-time back-to-back MVP, and Super Bowl champion winner. Aaron Rodgers, let's give him his flowers. But there's this show on ESPN, and yes, I watch ESPN habitually, especially when I'm at work. But was watching ESPN and live and in color. Like I almost got in a wreck, okay? Because like I had the video pulled up. Don't get me wrong, and please don't hate on me, but I had the video pulled up, and there's a show on ESPN called the Pat McAfee Show, okay? And about 10 seconds on this, Pat McAfee started out on YouTube, and Pat McAfee is a former, I believe, punter, so pretty much darn near all the former players, especially former players with significance like Pat McAfee, they got podcasts because we want to hear it from their perspective and we want to hear them break down the game. You know what I'm saying? So he got a show to do that. And the crazy part about it is he like started on Spotify and YouTube first, and then ESPN hollered at your boy and, offering them bag so they could put his show on ESPN. And I must say, between Get Up, First Take, and ESPN, that's where it's at in the mornings, especially for like breaking news, reactions, and folks just basically breaking down locker room stuff and behind the scenes, right? Okay, bet. So, of course, I believe they call it Aaron Rodgers Wednesdays or Tuesdays. I'm not sure, but that's literally what their show is called, right? Okay, well, not what their show is called. The episode is called for their show is like Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. So every Tuesday, if Aaron Rodgers got free time, he's on the Pat McAfee Show, right? And unfiltered because, when they're in front of the camera and stuff like that, most of these athletes try not to, use potty words like your boy here, you know what I'm saying? And they just try to keep it about the game and keep it kosher and stuff like that, right? But as you can tell, folks like Marshawn Lynch, the pivot with Ryan Clark and them boys, if they could get a different platform where they could just be themselves, then they would talk. So this is the kind of platform for Aaron Rodgers. And boy, when he got up there, and I believe this was like literally a week ago, okay? This happened like literally a week ago. So Aaron Rodgers, he gets up there and, they talk about football. They talk about his ACL and stuff like that. And then just out of nowhere, he talks about the Epstein Manifesto. And the name that he brings up, like he could have, pointed out anybody in the crowd. But the mug he went to first was Jimmy Kimmel. Yes. Yes. And, I'm sitting in the car, on my break or whatever. And, I'm like, man, let me hear what he got to say. But, I end up having to go, back to work and stuff like that. I need to go back and rewatch the YouTube clip of everything that he said. But he does mention Jimmy Kimmel by name. And then basically he chastises him. And, he basically calls him out for participating, if not contributing to the sex trafficking on Epstein's island. So these are very, very, very serious accusations that Jimmy Kimmel is facing, and nobody hasn't brought charges up because this is all alleged, okay? But after Aaron Rodgers brought up his name, there was a few more athletes and a few more actors that said the same thing. So that prompted Jimmy Kimmel to get on social media. I believe it was X, or formerly known as Twitter, and he tweeted out like, "Bro, keep my name out your mouth, or I'm gonna see you in court." Basically, just to paraphrase. You feel me? Now to move on, the next person I'm going to bring up is Ella DeGeneres. Okay. I don't know if that's her last name. I just know that's who she is. You feel me? And not only that, but I do not know too much about this celebrity. Okay? Because every time I Googled her, no disrespect to the homosexual community or whatnot, but it's almost as if she is famous for being a homosexual or being a lesbian. Okay? I'm not sure, but every time I Google her, they don't really have anything past, like, I think the Oprah Winfrey Show or the show Oprah Winfrey is on. I forgot. Well, you know the name of that show Oprah Winfrey on?
Oprah Show.
Whoopi Goldberg. I keep saying Oprah. Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh.
The View. The View.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Ella got her name from being on The View, and then of course she played on Finding Nemo, and then she was on Finding Ellie or whatever the name of the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I know her from. Okay. And with that being said, I must admit she branched off, got her own show, and then her own show was actually pretty successful. I think it ran for about 5 to 10 years and stuff like that. So, you know, like I said, I'm just reporting facts, okay? And also, if I'm wrong about how long her show lasted, please leave me a comment in the description. But to continue on, okay, this is the next juicy alleged story that I have, and then we'll get into some more things. But okay, Ella DeGeneres had her show, right? And then of course, I believe Ghislaine Maxwell or a few nuggets of Epstein's manifesto was leaked out. Because see, this is the saddest thing about that. They actually was in possession of Epstein's manifesto for a while now. We're just hearing about the explicit details now. But they had this for a while. So I believe they leaked out a little bit of his manifesto, and one name that kept being scribbled down, like basically this mug lived there, was actually Ella DeGeneres, of all people. Yes. So she was going there back to back to back to back. This mug probably had a room there, allegedly, of course, which this is crazy. Okay. Now, Ghislaine, when she was in her trial and stuff like that, she had more people, like even the allegedly the prime minister of Israel. He was up there, but she really had a lot to say during her trial about Ella DeGeneres in particular. This is crazy. Okay. And like I was telling you about that special, okay, this wasn't in the special, but shortly after the special, a few people named Ella DeGeneres by face and name that she was there and she was doing such deplorable acts. Okay. Allegedly. I don't know this for sure now. I'm just saying this is what has been reported. So, of course, then you had Mariah Carey. She came out, right? And she was pregnant at the time. And then she claimed SA towards Ella DeGeneres. So, of course, the Ella DeGeneres show was canceled because of all of these accusations and allegations that were alleged against her, bro. So,
I feel like you just said a lot, and I didn't know about the whole Ellen being on there. I mean, I heard some of the names and I was like, what? When I heard Bill Clinton, I was like, oh, okay. You know, like, bro been shady, so what? Whatever, you know, but that's my own opinion, you know, think what you want out there. I mean, do you. But, I mean, and then Donald Trump, I was like, I could see it. I mean, it's supposedly said from what I was reading that he hasn't been accused of anything yet. And same with like Michael Jackson, like they're named in it, but they're not named that they were actually going to the island, but they were named that they were doing other stuff. Like they either knew Epstein and was at his house or other places or whatnot. But that's what I read. And like I said, half the time you don't even know if what you're reading is actually legit or not. So, I mean, anything that we're saying right now, like he said, is like Impact said, was really just like what we've read and what we've heard and stuff so far, and like the manifests that have been released. But to be honest, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know how did they get the information released and how did they let him do it? Because from all the conspiracies and stuff that I've heard before, which not saying I'm a conspiracy theory nut or anything like that, it's just some of that stuff kind of like interests me to hear about. But they're saying, you know, like celebrities and stuff, they can basically stifle anything that's coming out about them. And so, I mean, I could see none of them getting any charges at all, just because now he's not even alive to say his tale. And if he's the one that's creating this whole manifest, which has to be because it says it's his manifest. I'm going to assume that probably most of the people that are on there are missing from the list. Because there's got to be more. Otherwise, how did everybody find out about this place? Just a thought.